Okay, looks like I am live. All right. Hey everyone, let's go live. Boom. And here I am. All right, everyone. Hope we're doing well. Let's go ahead and get this situated. Yes, yes. Happy. Oh, hey, what's going on, Mr. T? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me go ahead and set these things up. Boom, boom, boom. How are you on this Thursday? Let's go here. Thank you for liking the live. I appreciate it. And for those out there, be sure you connect with Mr. T. Thank you for the heart meet. I appreciate it. I am grateful. I do not take it for granted. And I think that's all. Let me see here. Let me just get everything set up. Yes, live at 5. Hey, just this is a heads up. I know for those of you, um, here we go. Let's do that. And let's save that. Saving. Okay. Thank you so much for the taps. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Come on in. I am getting everything set up. Okay. Let's go here. I know I got 45 different things. Um, and let me go here. Hold on. Bear with me. Bear with me. Thank you for your patience. Volume down. Good and good. Mr. T, did you still let me know how your day was? Did I miss that? I may have missed it. If I did, please forgive. If you are in the chat, let me know how you are doing. Yes, so I usually don't try to take my time. Let me mute this. Sometimes that makes it out here. So let's go ahead. So we got that. And we got this. Wonderful. All right. I'm gonna scroll back because I think you answered me. And if you didn't, that's okay. That is quite all right. Thank you so much. I appreciate the taps, appreciate sharing. Excellent. You're achieving your goals. All right. Yes, that is a good thing. That is good. Right there, you are a goal achiever. Let me make sure I'm not bleeding out anywhere. And when I mean bleeding out, I mean that sometimes it may my sound. I want to be sure my sound is good. All right, and everyone that's out there, feel free to let me know what you're doing. How's your Tuesday going? Because I am sharing it with the world, with the world. Yes, just checking the comments here. Boom and boom. Okay. All right. Let's share it with more people. Working on beautiful. Listen, listen, definitely do that. I hope you've gone out there to walk the land. So one thing about when you're making future plans that's keen is that um, you want to speak that thing as if it's already happened. If you know where you want to go, you know where you be around that. Be around that, speak to it, be sure that you are doing it. Continue to make those plans, and move towards it. Telling you, a lot of times the thing that we're seeking is seeking us. So it's important that we make sure that we're in divine order, that we are aligning ourselves so that it's not just us saying that, okay, this is where I'd like to be, this is where I hope to be. It's not about hoping. It's about really setting the intention, training our mind, and getting that to the right place. Yes, yes, about that. Yes, thank you for the repost. That actually Let me put that there because I think I can repost as well. So let's go ahead. Yep, I did that. And um, oh, I gotta be mindful of that. I don't want to interrupt my I don't want to interrupt that. So let's go ahead and do that. Yes, it's good to be walk in your future, all those things that you want, all those things that you are planning and scheduling. Because really, it does take the mind. Like for instance, I know this is a bit off topic, but hey, I was um, I was just journaling. Now, the challenge with that is that I made a commitment to journal in the morning, and so what I realized is that the pivot I need to make is that before I go to bed, I need to put my journal on the front of my desk. So basically, what I'm doing is I am planning my next day the night before, and I'm taking the steps and actions. So it may seem subtle, it may seem simple. However, you have to understand that practices and habits like that, they will ripple down the line and they can in fact impact other areas of your life. So that's what you want to consider and think about is when it comes to your future, your goals, the planning that you have, how can you set yourself up for success? How can you, yeah, yeah, exactly. You've got to set yourself up for that level of success. And so, wondering what are the steps you can take? Is there a song that you can have playing? Can you set up a timer for things? Can if you drink coffee in the morning, what can you do the night before? Can you set out your cup, wash your cup? You're going somewhere and lay out your clothes the night before so that as you get up in the morning, it's automatic. Hey, Abraham, and that it's automatic, that it's right there, that you're moving in that space. So it's important that if you're planning, if you're moving and you're doing that, yes, definitely. Yes. Oh, thank you for the repost. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Thank you for the rose. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing out the live. So I'm encouraging people is that um, think of ways you can design your day the night before or design your future now. What are the steps that you can take? Thank you for the go pops. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Yes, and sharing out the live. Thank you. You've got to design your day the night before, and you've got to think and take time and sit back and say, what are the steps that I can take in order to move forward, in order to make it easier, reduce the amount of friction you have between yourself and your milestone and your goals. That's really it. You're aiming to reduce that amount of friction. That's the goal. That's what it comes down to. And once you do that, then you walk into and know that yes, you can set up a timeline. Um, Set up a timeline, make things happen, and make sure that you're flexible with that timeline. All right? Excuse me for a moment. I just realized that I iced my bag. Now I need to heat my bag. For those who've been here before and past know I am in the I am in the midst of my back being healed completely. Yeah, it feels better today. It did feel better today. So I'm gonna put that right back there. Yes, for those of yeah, that's true. Just said put in the comments that when it comes to your goals, if you have a partner, somebody you're with, um, it's good that you take the time that you're sharing life with. It's good that you take the time and sit down with them and to discuss these things. Now, some people will take that as just a one-time conversation, but really, it's not a one-time conversation. It's regular conversations. You can have it. I don't know if you're not used to having. You could start off maybe do it every couple weeks, once a month. But really, what you don't want to do is if something comes up, you don't want to say, "Oh, you know what? We just met. We're not meeting until next month, so let me hold off." No, you want to have regular meetings with your life partner, who you're sharing life with, who's impacted by your goals, whoever that is, or it could be with family that's impacted by it. You want to be sure that you're meeting with them on a regular basis. Call a meeting. Some people may think it's silly, but yes, call a meeting, whether it's a meeting, and sit down and say, okay, this is the time that we're going to have this. We're having it for this hour. these 30 minutes, we're going to both put our phones on airplane mode so that we're not interrupted with anything. We're going to put our phones down, face down, turn off any type of buzzing, vibrating, any lights that go off. We're going to not even put it phone face down. We're going to put it in another room, meaning that, if we got two levels in a house, we're going to put it down. We're going to put it downstairs. We're going to meet upstairs, or we're going to, a room is here. It's going to be in this separate room with the door closed. There are certain things you got to be sure and ask yourself, what extremes are you going to take in order to make sure that you're on the same page and you're designing your future? Okay. Now, I know that's different from the title we have here, Five Reasons We Quit Too Soon. However, I was on this tangent and talking about that. So don't worry, we will get to our topic. I wanted to be sure that we were all on the same page, that this got addressed. And there are times where you've gotta be able to make time for that. You know, sometimes someone will come up with some new ideas about which comes from. Yeah, yeah. But you know what? Even this is a lesson. This is a lesson in and of itself. Is that hold on, let me just plug this in. Is this the right one? Yes, it is. Okay. For those of you that have schedules, that have plans and things along those lines, make sure that you make room make room for changes. Allow that room to change because you've got to really make space. You can have a whole topic, a whole line of things saying, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm discussing. Just make room, allow yourself, give yourself permission for things to pivot, to adjust, because it could be for the long-term benefit. Like this conversation we're having, this could be for the long-term benefit. Hey, Donnie, for the long-term benefit, the long-term gain. Hey, Stay True, thank you for liking them. Thank you so much. Um, it's so you've got to, anytime you've got plans, always leave some wiggle room for spontaneity, for ideas, for things to happen, to pivot. Expect obstacles, expect a change. Those are the things that happen when you're moving along. So that's that's it. Now, if you don't do that, then potentially you could be that could be one of the reasons why we quit too soon. Yeah, with that. Tied it into the topic. Tied it in. Hey, thank you for the divine come. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So, and it's interesting. When we're talking about this topic of five reasons we quit too soon. Yesterday, I was talking about changing my time that I go live to 9 a.m. Now, I could do that on other areas, but here I'm going to stick with the five. I'm going to stick with that. So, for those of you that are accustomed to that, here we go. Now, if you have some insight, or if you like to say, hey, this might be a better time, put it in the comments. Let me know. Right now, this is what's been consistent. This is, for those that have held me down that continually do so. Yeah, this is good. So it's one of those things of not quitting something too soon, but seeing the result. If you're not seeing enough of it, you've got to look at other factors besides one thing and say, okay, let me make this massive change, because sometimes it's the little adjustments you make that have an impact. You know, um, I compare it to a cruise ship. If it's out there in the ocean, sometimes something may be off by 4, 5, 6 degrees. However, if you keep traveling that way for 6 hours, you're going to realize you're going to miss your mark because you're going the wrong way, or you're off for an extended period of time. You completely miss your mark. So those small adjustments, they matter. They definitely matter. So now that I had that little freestyle, let's go ahead and talk about our topic at hand. Five reasons we quit too soon. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and start with the questions that we usually start with here. And as I said, I got my notes. So if you see me peeking around, that's why I got the notes. All right. So the question we have is this: What if you're only 1 week away from the breakthrough that you're about to quit on? You know, what if the opportunity you've been praying for is closer than you think? And so, you have to think about this. The challenge is that most people don't quit because we don't have any chance of succeeding. It's that we quit because we don't see the immediate evidence that we're succeeding. Same thing with me with the 9 o'clock. I was like, I'm not seeing the immediate evidence of that. Got to move forward. So, really, as an accountability coach, I've seen people walk away from goals that were actually working, things that were making sense, things that were having progress. And they were walking away not because they failed, it's because they just so tonight this evening, what we're doing was going to talk about 5 reasons most people quit too soon. All right, and so you have to ask, really, and think about this: have you ever quit on something and later regretted it? Well, I have. I mean, I can look at it from a musical standpoint. From I've played drums for a number of years. Now, there was a time where I was doing movements every day, and I just stopped doing it. And I think about it, so I was like, man, what if I kept doing that every single day? What if I kept doing that? And I see these when I look online and see this one doing well, and that one doing well, and this one doing well, and I'm going, oh, man, what if I? You live in that regret. You cannot live there. But if you replay that, then that's going to hold you back. You know, um, and then you can ask, what goals have you started on? Have you started more than once? So that's an interesting topic. So let's let's discuss the 5 reasons we quit too soon. All right, everyone ready? Everyone good? All right, let me just check in, making sure we're good. Here, everything here good. Okay, everything's flowing. I'll tell you, it's great to have a system that can handle everything that's handling. So let's go like this. Number one reason, 5 reasons. The number one reason. Start with reason number one. Like myself, we expect fast results. Now, see, most people, what we do is we quit because their expectations are unrealistic, meaning that um, we have unrealistic timelines. So it's not that the goal is impossible; it's just that the expectations are unrealistic. So think about it. We live in a goal where there's immediate results. It's a microwave culture. You put it in, press the time. Once that time's done, we want it done. I mean, think about it. We want fast shipping. You go online and you're like, oh, I can get this tomorrow. Oh, great, I can get this in 2 days. I can get this tomorrow. Oh, if I order something else, I can get this by 5 p.m. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. If I order these two other things, I can get it by 2. I mean, you want stuff. You want we want stuff so quickly that it's like, it's like, please, can you ship it before I think about it? Can you ship it ahead of time? It's wild work when you think about that. That's the culture that we live in. People want things right when they want them. I mean, it's like, listen, I want you to have a drone there, and so that has all the things I usually want. When I want to just drop it, I know we wanted it yesterday. Exactly. It's crazy when you think about it. Oh, it's hilarious. You think about that, you're like, "Okay, right away." I mean, we want, fast answers, and the challenge is that this mindset of wanting stuff yesterday, a lot of times it carries on to our goal. I know it's crazy. This carries on to our goals. So we think about it. It's like, okay, you start a workout plan. You like, you take the time and you go, okay, here's my meals. I'm gonna do this. This is my workout. I'm gonna do these exercises because these are the ones that are gonna give me results. They're gonna work this area, work that area. You start that workout plan, and then and all of a sudden it's like, okay, 2 weeks have passed. What's the result? Really? 2 weeks? It's the same thing with business. Some people start a business and you expect clients to just come to you. We want to work with you. Please, we need to work with you. We want to. And we're like, yeah. I mean, it's like, people launch, put things out there and I expect it to go viral. We save money for a month and we're like, well, I've saved money for a month. I put it in this account. Why is it not yielding? Why am I not wealthy? You know, it doesn't happen that way. It's not going. Yeah, it's people. They have unrealistic results. You expect fast results. You read one book and you expect, okay, transformation is happening. This is it. It's going to happen. You can't attend one seminar and just expect mastery. It's not going to happen. You know, and many times where what the was that people uh, underestimate the amount of repetition needed in order to achieve success. We underestimate the number of attempts required, the learning curve, the setbacks, the time commitment, all these things. So you live in this stage of underestimating things, and when you do that, you get challenged, you get regret, you get frustrated. Another issue is that you are comparing it to someone else's timeline. You're like, well, this person got results in this time frame. Why am I not getting? What are they doing that I'm not doing? So you look at that, and the thing is that we forget that a lot of the success stories out there, they have chapters that we don't see. We see snapshots. We see the end result of things. We don't see things that are in process. You see the end result. See, and really, what we have to understand is that most meaningful goals will take longer than expected. They do. And most breakthroughs, they arrive later than planned. So we have to understand that though we would like some things to happen, that the growth that we want, the growth that we're looking for, um, it's going to happen a lot slower than we'd like. So really, what it comes down to is the timeline is the test. And so, since it's the test, that's where we have to really think and say, okay, I realize that I expect fast results. So you've got to change your mindset. You've got to say, what took longer? Yeah, just right, exactly. Just be patient. Things will happen. And the thing is, when results don't happen as fast enough, the next thing that usually happens is um, we start moving on to reason number two. So reason number one is we expect fast results. Reason number two is that we confuse setbacks with failure. That's right. So understand this. A setback is an event. Now, failure becomes permanent only when we stop moving. So you gotta consider that, take that into account. Because I don't care who you are, everybody experiences setbacks. You know, every leader is gonna make mistakes. Every entrepreneur has bad months. Every marriage has its challenges. So you got to think along those lines. For those of you that are out there who are, if you're on a fitness journey, there's going to be times where, that sudden cheat day, didn't expect it, but it is. So every goal has obstacles. You have to expect these obstacles, and when you expect that, when you hear these obstacles, when you come across resistance, you really have to it comes up against the mindset that, oh, okay, well, I'm on this level of success. My journey is going to be smooth. That's not the case. You think everything is going to go without a hitch because it's all planned out, it's mapped out, you researched it, you've done these things, but reality shows up. You've got theory, then you've got reality. And so what happens when you see setback as a failure, then things get blown out of proportion. A missed day becomes a crisis. A missed goal, that becomes its massive source of discouragement. A bad week becomes self-doubt. You begin to really think, do you have the capacity to do these things? Are you there? Are you showing up? What are the steps that you can take? What are the steps that you're doing? What's going on? So you take these things and you move them to the end. So delay becomes evidence that you're failing, and any type of rejection that you have, that becomes proof that this won't work. You know, it's a matter. The problem is that when we quit too soon, we focus on a single moment. We forget how far we've come, how much we've done, what are the steps we've taken. And so when you forget that, that's when you're into that hole of, well, maybe I should step back. You've got to remember that, okay, that progress includes mistakes. There are lessons that you're going to learn. throughout this journey that you're on. So it's got to be learning to adjust instead of abandon. Remember that successful people learn to adjust rather than abandon instead of abandon. That's the difference. So you've got to learn to, when things happen, setbacks come, you've got to learn to recalculate instead of retreating. It's those are the things that happen. Um, and so as you get that mindset, you respond because your responses are decisions and you don't react. You're not taking everything at the rate of heart. So you've got to think about how do you usually respond to things when they don't go according to plan. Yep, delay can make you think and make about things, but you learn things happen and keep moving forward. Exactly, Mr. T. Exactly. So those are the things that you really need to want to consider when it comes to your goals. All right. We're good. Okay. Just making sure that we're all good with this. Let's do this. Oh, I can do that as well. That's right. Um, okay. So now, as you know, so that was reason number two, that we can confuse setbacks with failure. Yep, and keep your mindset positive. So once we start experiencing setbacks, there's something else that occurs, and I'm going to take another sip of water. Got the heat on my back, so making it work, making it work. Yeah. All right, here we go. Now, the next thing, if as when it comes to setbacks, the third reason why we quit too soon is that we lose focus. Simple as that. It's that we don't quit because we're capable. We're not incapable. We quit because we become distracted. So we hear the word so much, you become anesthetized to this. But think about it. Focus, it's one of the rarest skills people have today. You know, because every day is going to bring new distractions. There's going to be something new. Think about it. We have the news. I mean, right there in the word news is something new. What happened? What's going on here? What happened in this state? What happened in this country? This part of the world? And so every day brings new distractions. Every week there are new opportunities. Here's a sale, here's a thing, here, learn about this, know about that. Then you've got social media. Social media is really, yes, you're right, we become distracted. It competes for your attention. As I mentioned before, attention is the new currency. It's like, how can we hold on to your attention for that long? Here we go. That was one of my reminders to do my movements. Gotta push that later. Um, and so you think about it, since attention is the new currency, the goal is how do we keep most of it? And those distractions are working harder, they get more sophisticated so that they can keep your attention here, your focus here versus your priorities, your goals. And so you've got to be thinking about all these things that grab our attention. Social media, notifications. Think about it. Come on now. You wake up, you got notifications that happen through the night, that happened at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., happened at, oh, what happened at 4:59 a.m. that I missed? Really? You know, all these things. So all these things can be. Then you get up in the morning, you turn your computer on. Some people, first thing they check, emails. Emails. That competes for your attention. Other people's goals. Now, because when you're on these different platforms, you'll see this person striving for this person striving for that. All of that is really pulling your attention there. You're like, let me follow, let me do this. And so all these things want your attention. They grab it, they're vying for it because they know that that is a precious commodity. They can do something with that. So it's like you then keep chasing the shiny object. Right, right, exactly. You know, um, And people once you see that shining object, you change directions, you keep changing strategies, you change your goals. It's you start, but you didn't finish, and that's the issue. You know, so instead of being productive, you're active. That's the thing. People say, let's get active, but how many people really say, let's get productive? So activity that replaces productive, and then you're saying, well, I'm doing things, I'm busy. Well, that busyness is not the same as you having purpose. It's not. You've got to think about that. So your busyness replaces purpose because you're moving, because there's motion. You think that that's momentum, but it's not. And and it's not because there's never a replacement for momentum. Momentum is its own living thing. So you have to say, okay, now that if you when you lose focus, your habits fade, progress begins to slow, frustration begins to grow, your focus gets diluted. So you have to be sure that you are not replacing things that are moving the needle, that are making impact. So that's the thing. Um, know that everything out there is vying for your attention. So you've got to protect your attention as by means, by many means. I won't say by any means, by many means. Ooh, get some more water here. 'Cause I am sipping this down. All right. So so the question I asked you, what's the biggest distraction in your life right now? Is it sports? Is it your phone, your TV, your news, neighborhood, doing outside projects? What's your biggest distraction right now? All right. And so that's what you want. Once you're able to answer that question, then you can combat it. Now, the next thing, once focus begins to disappear, reason number four, patience usually goes along with it. We quit too soon because we lose patience. See, patience, people think patience is waiting, and it's not waiting. It's continuing the work while you wait. Now, now patience itself is a is can be a challenge, especially in a world where instant gratification is the norm. You can just scroll here or move this here or tap on this. So I don't like this. Let me switch it. Done deal. Let me flip it. Done deal. Let me run it. Done deal. And so it's a difficult thing to have, because we live in a world where people want immediate gratification. We want our immediate results. We want immediate recognition. We want to be, I did that. Or where's my recognition? I was the one who did that. Where's my name? Why didn't you mention me? I'm like, I'm still building it. Okay, well, you're gonna mention me, right? People want that right away. They want to know that this is gonna happen. They want certainty. And so it the challenge is that when we want these immediate things, it's going to immediately be an enemy and come up against growth because growth does not work that way. Growth doesn't happen instantaneously. You know, any type of goal that you're doing, that's gonna take time. You know, all these things take time, relationships, trust, um, leadership, uh, healing takes time. I mean, look at me right now. I'm sitting on a heating pad because I had hurt my back a couple weeks ago, did not do the right things, and so now I have to realize that I've got to do these things so that I get proper healing. Because yes, I want to go back to where I don't need to heat and ice my back 3 times a day. I want to get back to the point where I can put my socks on without having to think about it. I want to get back to the point where I have to, I can just take a shower and not think and just wash up and go, oh, I gotta, do the ankles and the feet. So I'm like, let me take a breath, let me grab a brush because leaning down, those are things. That's currently where I'm at, but that's not where I reside. This is just a visit. This is not a residing. That's sometimes the difference. You gotta know where you live and versus where you visit. So that can be the challenge too, is that many people will, they will take an emotion, they'll take a setback, you'll take a, a downfall, and you pick up your things, and that's where you decide to live, when really it's a place that you should only visit and visit with one foot in the door, one foot out. That's the important thing right there. Go on. Oh, okay. All right. Um, no, uh, bear with me, people. I opened up something, and here we go. Okay. Now, where was I? Yes. And so it's a matter of how are we residing? How are we taking these things in? Where do we lift up our stakes and move forward? So that's an important thing. Um, see, we have to understand that when you look at other people's success, those are things that causes you to lose focus. It can destroy your patience because that's what your new benchmark is. You've had standards, but now because you're looking at someone else, you're applying their standards, you're applying their rules to your life. When you don't reach a certain thing in a particular time frame that they have set, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, am I worthy? The self doubt, the frustration, the regret, the quitting is like, oh, it's easier to quit than move on. That's not the case. So you cannot compare your beginning to someone else's middle. You can't. So you can't compare your chapter one to someone's chapter 20, all the stuff you've been through. You can easily because when you do that, discouragement, you stop trusting the process, you stop trusting yourselves, you stop showing up. So you have to be mindful of really that comparison. It's not about you comparing yourself. It's about you living to your commitments and your standards. All right. Right, exactly, Mr. C. Don't compare yourself or your progress to others. This is making sense. Definitely put a one in the chat. One in the chat. All right. So let's go. We're good. Okay. Just let's see. Making sure we're good. Okay. And now we're on to number five. Five reasons we quit too soon is that because we lose sight of the progress we made. We lose sight and we stop tracking our progress. That's right. Because if you don't track progress, you'll eventually convince yourself that there is no progress has happened. You've got to track progress. When that's one of the things. So you quit too soon because we're not tracking the steps we're taking, the moves we're making, and all of those things. We're not measuring those successes, those wins, those steps that we're taking. Because one of the things I've learned, and I've learned this from my coach. Remember, I'm an accountability coach. For those out there that are looking, I'm an accountability coach, Coach Trev. Been coaching for about 20 years. My tagline is the foot in your backside, making sure you don't backslide. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for coming in, heartbeats, posting, sharing, reposting, all of that good stuff. Thank you. And so that progress is often it is it's gradual, and it can be very easy to overlook that. You can overlook, the steps that you make, the steps that you take. And as I said, I've got my bad back that I've got. Well, I call it bad back. I've got this. I'm in the process of healing, and so today I was happy with the fact that I was able to wake up and stand. I was able to um, put pajama pants on and with ease. So, yep, yep. Am I still heating, still icing? Yes. This healing is thorough. It's happening. It's something that I am learning from. And I'm making sure that I'm doing the other ancillary things to produce the healing. But I could have easily overlooked that because I took for granted. Hey, I get up in the morning, I get up out of bed, grab my socks, grab stuff, go take a shower, wash everything. All those things you take for granted. There are people that would wish that they could do that, that wish that they could get up, wish that they could say, "Man, I wish I could get out of bed by myself, stand up." Select, have an option of, okay, I'm gonna wear these, I'm gonna put these socks on, I'm gonna match this shirt with these pants. There are people that wish that could say, okay, and then I'm going to walk from my bedroom to the bathroom. And then I'm going to, man, I wish I could turn on the faucet. I wish that I could, turn it on and choose from cold to hot. And then it press a button and it goes from bath to shower. Wish I could turn the light on, wish I could turn the light on. I've got electricity, got my own space, wish I could walk from there, get dressed in the clothes I have on, and then walk to the kitchen, open the refrigerator, and ch and have to make a decision on what to eat out of all the food that's in there. There's some people that wish they had that. See, it's those things that you can overlook because we take it for granted. And so it's now a matter of stopping and taking a look and going, "Oh, wow, I can actually get up in the morning, I can brush my teeth. I can turn on the faucet and clean water comes out. I can brush it with my own hand. I don't need assistance. I have an option. I can turn the light on. I've got a mirror. I've got, oh, it's hot in here. I can turn on the AC. I can turn up the air. I can all these things that all of these these quote unquote things that we take for granted. Some people out there. And so when you stop and think about that, that's when you're saying, okay, that's why many times it can be easy to overlook progress because it's not yelling at you. It's not making a parade. It's not skywritten. It's invisible. It's gradual. So that's when you have to understand is that small wins matter. The small improvements matter. It's the tiny gains that matter. And you think about it. I just talked to a friend of mine who lived in a town that the next town over experienced a tornado. And so thankfully, nothing happened to their town. So now things they don't just happen. Certain things, there are certain areas that make up big things. So when you hear about these events, they don't just happen. They start off small, and it's the combination of things that bring it up to a point. So those tiny gains matter. The small improvements matter when it comes to your goals. All these things matter. Consistency, habits, repetition. See, it's not just about tracking your outcomes. When you do that, then you can become disappointed at what you're doing because you're comparing yourself. You're just looking at outcomes. You're not looking at the small steps. Um, you're not looking at, you're not tracking your effort or tracking your consistency or tracking your growth. See, those are the things that really need tracking. The growth, the opportunities, the steps there. Those are the things that that are looking for that are that true desire, those true things. Um, and let me make sure here. And so, looking at that, you want to be sure that you want to make sure that as you're moving forward, you're tracking your efforts, you're tracking your goals, you're tracking all the things that are moving you forward, moving you in the right direction. Um, Not discounting anything because really you don't want to discount that. You want to be sure that you are measuring your consistency, measuring your patterns, measuring your efforts, right? Tracking the growth in all areas. So what I mean by that, I mean consistency. You look at what you've done in the past hour, you look at what you've done in other areas, you look at all those things. Those are the things that are that really count when it comes to it. So you track your lessons learned, you track your discipline. So, um, and I tell you this so that you know why you shouldn't quit. Because there are people out there, they'll forget where they started. They forget how much they've learned, how much they've improved, and they forget how much stronger you've become. You look at, you forget that you were once at one point and now you're at this other point here. So, um, so when you forget where you started, you only focus on what you're missing. And so, and when you focus on what you're missing, you ignore what's improving. You become discouraged, you stop believing, and you quit. So you've got to ask that this is really now that I know the 5 reasons we quit too soon. What do you do with that? So just as a recap, one of the 5 reasons we quit too soon. The 5 reasons we quit too soon are: one, we expect fast results. Second, we confuse setbacks with failure. The third thing is we lose focus. So that's an key thing. Also, we lose patience. The fifth thing was that we stop tracking progress. So so you have to think about it like this: that as an accountability coach, um, I am not here to make success easier. So let's say you work with me. Let's say you become a private client or a mastermind. You'll learn. And I have my mastermind starting Thursday. You want to find out more? Just message me, etc. Yes, just message me. Be sure you're following my page for more about that because I just posted something today. Um, Accountability, it doesn't make your success easier. I don't make your success easier. What I do is I help you to make quitting harder. So I flip it on its end. I help make quitting harder because many people, you don't need more information. You already know what you should be doing. You should be exercising, you should be saving money, you should be following up, being consistent. You know, it's not about you about having more knowledge. It's about you being persistent. It's the discipline, the consistency. It's staying committed to your goals after the excitement disappears. That's where the love is. So when it comes to it, accountability provides perspective. It gives you a picture, a vantage viewpoint from the outside. It also provides encouragement. And so, I'm that person that make sure you stay on track. You make sure that you're staying in that lane. Also, accountability, it provides structure and support, what you need for your goals. It's making sure that these are the rails, these are the boundaries, these are the standards, and you're not losing them in any way, shape, or form. And what accountability does, it also helps you recover from those setbacks. Because remember, as you're going with these goals, it's not just you. It's not just about your goals. It's about having the person there that can assist you with X, Y, and Z. That can assist you with, okay, all right. So that looks like you're moving in the right area. Looks like you're doing well. And oh, maybe you may need to adjust this here or drop this here. That's what accountability does. Accountability is looking at the outside and saying, okay, here's the structure you need, here's the encouragement, here is the recovery steps that you go through, the recovery steps that help you get from point A to point B, to point C, to point B, to sum up these things that helps you get through those milestones, those areas that'll get you to that. You know, so that's what accountability does when it comes to it. It helps you to stay focused, and it helps you to become a finisher, to follow. So that's the main difference. It's there's you've got successful people out there and unsuccessful. Really, there's really not a really great area. And the difference between the two, like the Hatfields and the McCoys, you may have heard that one. But the difference really between successful and accountability is often it may be just one more hour or one more day of persistence. So you have to think about this. Before you quit, look at how far you've come. Look at how much you've learned. Look at what you survived, what you built. look at the progress you've made. You know, the breakthrough, it may not be visible yet, but that doesn't mean it isn't coming. So what do? You keep showing up. You keep learning, you keep adjusting, you keep growing, you keep believing. And most importantly, you don't quit too soon. That's one of the key things. So it's it's not about making sure that you are always in. It's just making sure that you don't quit before you're at that breakthrough. There's a book out there called 3 Feet of Gold, and it's a story about how a man was digging for gold years ago, and he had been digging for a period of time, and he got frustrated, and so he sold the land at a great discount and left. And what happened is that the person who he sold it to, they said, "Well, let me decide to dig," and then he went in, got his equipment, started digging, digging, digging. He got 3 feet in, and boom! What do you know? He strikes gold, and he keeps digging and realizes there's a mountain of gold. So he realized that that person was only 3 feet away from gold and quit too soon. So it's like that. You've got to understand that you could just be moments away from put moments away from really your goal from that, and it's just a matter of making sure you don't quit too soon. Once you know the reasons, then you can avoid them. You can set up guardrails to protect yourself from that. All right. So that's it. Thank you all so much. Let me know, what was your biggest takeaway? Yep. So put down in the comments, what was your biggest takeaway? All right. I'm going to putting some things here. Excuse me. That's me drinking all that water. But hey, it's necessary. You know, a lot of that is definitely necessary to do. So that's all that's helping the back, helping me heal. So that's the plus. All right. All right. So as I said, I did put out a post earlier. Quite right. I put out a post earlier, and because I have a mastermind starting this Thursday. It is a we meet weekly. It's a monthly subscription. You want to find out more? Message me, and we can go further from there. All right. Um, and I do have some space. So if you're interested about becoming a private client or joining a mastermind, just message me, and we'll go from there. All right. So I want to thank you all, and I want to thank you all, and tune in with me next time at 5. Remember, I go live at 5 p.m. Yes, staying at 5. Staying at 5, Mr. T. Staying at 5. All right. So yes, be sure, if you're not following me, be sure you do turn on your notifications for when I go live, when I post at least twice a day. You never know, that number is increasing. It is increasing. How about it has increased? Like I said, you've got to change your language. Anything that you're putting out there, you want to be sure that you're changing the language, that you are being cognizant of how you speak. Your words create your world. Yes, yes, I'll be there at 5, because that's the most consistent time that I have there. Now, will there be other times I go live? I might. There might be some other times. I'll stick with 5. There may be some other times. The only way you'll know is if you be sure you follow the profile, you turn on your notifications. That way you know when I go live, when I have these things. That's one of the key things also. And as I said, I'm going to be put out some posts and saying about my masterminds, things along those lines. So be sure you are following me, your profiles and things along those lines. Okay. All right. Mr. T, you stay here. Um, and so, everyone, see you with everyone 5 p.m. tomorrow. Have a good one, and message me for assistance or free strategy session. All right. All the best. All right.